Hello everybody, my name is Benjamin Bloom. Welcome along to a live stream today, and we are going to be talking about the EFL Top 50, which was in 442 magazine. First of all, hello to everybody. I hope you're all okay. If we do catch anybody in the live stream, do get involved, and as always we'll do a bit of Q&A at the end for anybody who's interested as we go along with the topics that we're discussing here and anything anyone else wants to talk about. I hope everybody's okay. It is a baking hot bank holiday weekend, but we're all under strict instructions to stay home. Evening to these guys saying hello in the chat, Eco and Daniel in there. Fortunately, the Portuguese restaurant down the road is still delivering. Eco says, nice stream on TNC. Yeah, check out the Talk Norwich City channel. I was on there with Jack, good friend of mine, talking bit of Ipswich, bit of Norwich, bit of Premier League, bit of coronavirus, as it's impossible to avoid at the moment. So look, we're going to talk about, I'm going to try and react quite organically. I don't have any notes. I've just got the list in front of me of the EFL Top 50, which was published in 442 magazine. So this is a list of the top 50 players in the EFL. So not just Championship, but Leagues 1 and 2. It is voted for by the fans, and the rules were you weren't allowed to vote for a player of the team you support. So I'm not quite sure how 442 would have enforced that, but look, it's a bit of fun. It's an interesting list. I'm always questioning the impartiality of football fans and their ability to even identify more than 3 opposition players when they're playing against them. Some, only interested in their own team. So be interesting to see what they came out with. I dare say what it'll probably look like is the most newsworthy, famous, Twitter-worthy 50 players probably, but we'll see what comes out of it. There's obviously a bit of a contention with the fact that if you take the Championship and say there are 24 teams in that, say 200 and just over 250 Championship players, really there shouldn't be very many League 1 or 2 players in this, but you know how these lists and whatnot work, that mid-table Championship centre-back's going to end up lower than a top League 1 forward. We'll see how it all goes. How am I today? I'm great. Feeling good. Been for a run, walked the dogs, etc., etc. All good this end. So let's get into this. I am going to go from 50 downwards. I'm pretty much going to focus on the Championship players, obviously, because that's what the channel looks at. We'll do proper Q&A at the end. Someone just asked about post season stuff and COVID stuff. We'll talk about that at the end. So let's go through this. So this is the 442 EFL Top 50 and my reaction. Number 50 is Callum O'Hare, who's on loan at Coventry. So apparently he's better than lots of Championship players. This is what's going to throw up. He's on loan. He's at Coventry on loan from Villa. Danny Mayer, who's at Plymouth. So that is our first League 2. Richard says on loan from Villa indeed. Danny Mayer's at Plymouth. That's our first League 2 one. Number 48 is one I've seen play, is Michael Ihekwa from Rotherham. That's probably worth a little touch because I think he's going to be really good. Big bustling centre half there. Got the right manager in Paul Warne to train in Rotherham right up at the top of League 1. So likely to be in the Championship next season. And then we all know where it can go from there. So Michael Ihekwa. Right, our first Championship player is number 47, is Lee Tomlin of Cardiff. I suppose he should be on there somewhere, shouldn't he? He's always been a very... Richard says Ogbene is a better player for them. We're going to get this quite a lot where they're going to pick out a player from a team and we're all going to go, hang on, he's not even the best player on the team. So let's see how this list goes. Lee Tomlin for Cardiff. He's been around the Championship for a long, long time. On his day, massively skillful, but fallen out with managers along the way, hasn't he? And seems to be getting on quite well with Neil Harris, but is that typical Lee Tomlin, new manager comes in and it's all good for 6 months or so. So we shall see. But Lee Tomlin, certainly, I think, worthy of being on this list. Another two Championship ones, Perry and G, if that's how you say it, from Crewe. That's a League Two one. And Joe Jacobson of Wickham, again, is a 35-year-old set play specialist from Wickham, better than a lot of Championship players. I don't know, but he's in the news. Here comes another Championship one at number 44, is Patrick Bauer for Preston. Now, I don't know how many other Preston players are in here, but again, I wouldn't even have Bauer as the best Preston player in terms of people like Ben Pearson in there, and who's the other centre back? Ben Davies as well. So I don't know. Is it because his name sounds like Jack Bauer? People think he's more famous than he is, but Patrick Bauer in there for Preston. Good player, but first season from Charlton, first season in the Championship. Is he top 50? Not sure. Another couple, Mansfield here, Nicky Maynard, he's been around years, hasn't he, for Mansfield. He is in League Two at number 43. 42 is Paddy Madden from Fleetwood. I did see him play recently, and I have to say Madden played very, very well. Nice bustly striker. I think he could play at a higher level for sure. 41 is Ben Whiteman for Doncaster. So plenty of League One representation. Again, we look at this list and we say, are all these players better than 50 Championship players? I'm not so sure, but it's a good fun list, isn't it? Number 40 is Corley Woodrow from Barnsley. I think Woodrow's a good player. I think he's found his level at the Championship, as he's been at Fulham and on loan at Burton and various other places. Probably still not even that old, Woodrow. Again, is he the best player for Barnsley? Is he as good as Chaplin or Mowat? I'm not so sure, but he's a striker, so he's on the list there, Woodrow. We'll see if any other Barnsley players making up the numbers here. We have a Forest Green player, Joseph Mills at number 39. James Henry, who's a winger for Oxford, who I have seen play, at number 38. Charlie Kirk for Crewe. I think Richard mentioned him in the chat. He is there. Again, are all these players better than Championship players? It's all a bit of fun, isn't it? There we go. Number 36, Jed Wallace. Well, where are Millwall? Millwall are 8th, and Jed Wallace has been there. Are Millwall 8th, 9th, 10th? I can't remember. It's been so long since we saw a live league table. Jed Wallace definitely worthy of being on this list. Possibly a bit higher up than 36th, and when you see he's about to be behind a Blackpool player and an Ipswich player, you'll see this is all a bit topsy-turvy. But we're seeing the key players and the star players coming up from all teams. Jed Wallace, I think this is his breakout season. I think for him to be in, say, the top 15 or 20 of this list, he needs to put together maybe 1.5, 2 seasons, and then you'll see that kind of reputation grow. I do think, though, that people may well be in for him, especially as a highlight reel player. Jed Wallace and some of those long-range goals he scored this season, definitely up there. This is where this list is a bit ridiculous. Ahmad Gnadjale, a fair enough striker from Blackpool, middling League One striker, maybe a fairly decent league striker. Is he better than Jed Wallace? Of course he's not, but there you go, he's on the list. Number 34, James Norwood of Ipswich Town, my team. I can safely tell you that James Norwood is not the best player in the Ipswich team. That would be Flynn Downs or Luke Wolfenden, but hey, again, strikers go, and I mean, if you base it off the last few seasons and all the goals Norwood scored for Tranmere, then for sure. Is he better than Jed Wallace? No. Is he better than Patrick Bauer? No, but there we go. Forwards reign supreme, and maybe someone's agent was in someone's ear to get there. Here we go. We've got a goalkeeper here, Bryce Samba for Nottingham Forest. He has been a really good addition to the Championship. A couple of £1 million from France. He's going to be a lot of people's goalkeeper in their teams this season, maybe with Białkowski from Millwall. So, Samba, I think, worthy of being in the list here. Number 32, Stephen Fletcher, Sheffield Wednesday. I think once a £12 million player for Sunderland. Fact check me on that in the comments. Decent enough Championship striker. I suspect most watchers of the channel would probably pick 5 Championship strikers they could put above Steve Fletcher, but there you go. Nicky Law of Exeter is better than Steve Fletcher, apparently. Number 31, can't say I know much about him. Here's where this list does get a bit silly, because we've got number 30, Andre Ayew, who probably has about 75 caps for Ghana, who's played in Ligue 1 for Marseille, in the Premier League for West Ham as well. Did he play in the Premier League for Swansea before? Really high calibre player there. probably in terms of actually who's the best player should be quite a lot higher, but it's output, although he has done well for Swansea this season, AU, but there we go. And he's behind Cameron Brannigan of Oxford, there we go, who is midfielder, isn't he? Brannigan, someone help me out in the chat. I've seen Oxford twice this season, that's terrible, isn't it? Lewis Graben, number 28. He probably should be higher than Steve Fletcher, and he is. And he's a go-to championship goal-scoring machine, really, isn't he? Did it for Sunderland, who were rubbish. Did it for Norwich when he was down with them. Did it for Reading on loan. Doing it for Forest now. Did it for Villa. I think Graben should be higher, personally. I guess he's kind of now known as a championship specialist, but yeah, so he should be on the list. He should be higher. This is Owen Doyle of Swindon, who scored an absolute ton of goals. Now, someone will have to correct me in the chat here. I believe he was on loan, was he, from Bradford? I don't know if he signed permanently. Is he better than Lewis Graben? Of course he's not. Lewis Graben's played 2 levels higher consistently, but hey, are we on who's having the best season or who's the best player? There we go. Number 26, Naki Wells, who falls into the same bracket as Fletcher and Graben, has proven at championship level. Is he better than Graben? Probably not. Is he younger and has a longer upside than Fletcher and Graben? Yes, I would say so. Could he possibly be higher? Yes, I think so too. Here we go. A couple of big name teams in League One. Chris Mcguire of Sunderland, Ronan Curtis of Pompey. Are they good League One players? Yes. Are they in the top 50 EFL players? Not so sure. Right, let's talk about another very high caliber player. Here is number 23, Joe Allen of Stoke City, who has played for Liverpool, hasn't he? And played for Wales in the Euros and played a lot of Premier League games. Again, we're stuck between who's famous, who's having a good season, and who's actually really high caliber. Maybe Joe Allen should be a little bit higher. Number 22 is Marcus Maddison, who in no universe should be higher than Joe Allen. He's at Hull, isn't he, on loan from Peterborough? Kind of mercurial player, but how many championship games has Marcus Maddison played? Probably a handful of starts on his loan there. I don't know much about his history. I know he was really good for Peterborough, but 22nd best player in the EFL? Maybe an argument to be on the list, but not sure about that. Number 21, and I've done a whole video about this guy, Patrick Bamford, who Marcelo Bielsa says, no Baptiste yet, animation. I don't think he's going to be on the list, to be honest, looking at the rest of it, scanning it. Bamford should fall into that category of proven championship striker. Not scored the amount of goals for Leeds that a lot of non-Leeds fans or non-watchers of Leeds would expect from a player in that position. But what I've learned from doing the video about Bamford, which was entitled "Is He As Bad As People Say?" is that he is integral to Leeds' system in terms of leading the press and triggering that, and also playing with his back to goal and bringing people in on his own up top without a number 10 or a real box-to-box number 8. So I think he does a better job than maybe his numbers suggest. Should he be on the list? For sure, I think he should. Number 20 is Joe Lolly, who probably had a better shout to be higher last season than this season. I think Sabri Lamouchi maybe has got him performing a bit more of a systematic role rather than an individual role, but certainly a really good player, Lolly. He's not actually that big at age, and he's proven championship quality. Top 20, I probably think I would go with that as well. Number 19 is Carlin Grant of Huddersfield, who came from Charlton, didn't he? So this is his first championship season, so he must have already been there in the Premier League, and for a short time in the Championship, 36 games, definitely proven a good player. We've talked about Graben and Naki Wells and Fletcher. We definitely put Grant in that bracket on the basis of what we've seen this season, maybe to go alongside the likes of Graben, who've done it year in, year out. He needs to add another season or two, but for his age, yeah, for sure. Is he better than those guys? Don't know, but the upside is there, so I can see why he's in there. Speaking of upside, number 18 is Jude Bellingham, who, if we were talking about potential, would go all the way down and be number 1, because I think we all agree that a 16-year-old of his size and talent who, touch wood, hasn't had an injury yet in the Championship and has really played well as a central midfielder and out on the left-hand side, as well. It's all about potential with Bellingham. Is he the 18th best player yet? I'm not sure. Would the potential be for him to be number one? Absolutely, yeah. He could be an incredible player. Doubt we'll see much of him more in the Championship, because I think he's going to be sold at the end of the season. But yeah, worthy of being on the list for sure. Difficult one with players where it's all potential ahead. Number 17, Jake Livermore. Yeah, he definitely needs to be on there somewhere around here, doesn't he? Really high calibre. He's been in the England squad, hasn't he, Livermore? He's done it for years and years at the top level. I'm struggling to think now. Hull, was he Tottenham before Hull? I can't think. Too many players going through my head now. But at this level, great. And interestingly, the little switch that Bilic made unlocked him a little bit. He was solid 4-2-3-1 guy, allowed to get forward a bit, and then he contributed goals and assists. So yeah, I'm all about Livermore on there, certainly. And a teammate of Livermore's is Grady Diangana, who's at number 16. He's on loan from West Ham. Not sure how I feel about loan players, but yeah, they're in the EFL. Diangana was brilliant, wasn't he? Maybe in the shadow of Pereira a little bit. Has he produced over and again? Not sure yet. Maybe he's a bit high to be number 16, but definitely a difference maker in the Championship. Be really interested now whether he gets a chance at West Ham or whether he becomes one of these go-to Championship loan guys. I suppose like Tammy Abraham became before he got his chance at Chelsea. So definitely a good player. Number 16, not sure I'd have him that high, but very good player. Here's the interesting one. Number 15, Matty Cash of Nottingham Forest, who was definitely not thought of as a right fullback at the start of the season. A very funny video of my mate Mr. Dorr, who's a great YouTuber, saying no, he can't play fullback, and he knows a lot more about Forest than I do, but he's been really good at fullback. He's bought into Lamoushi's sort of systematic structure, like I mentioned earlier when we were talking about Lolly. And with Lolly, I guess, on that side of the pitch, has done really, really well. One of those guys who, if he can be assured at the back, definitely has enough talent going forward to contribute there. Is he the 15th best player in the EFL? Not sure about that. Is he going to get into a lot of people's team of the year right back? Yes, he is. He and Luke Ayling, I guess, will be in those positions. But yeah, really good cash. Number 14 is our highest League One player, who apparently is better than all of these Championship strikers we mentioned so far. Ivan Toney of Peterborough. Now, Ivan Toney is very, very good, and he's the best striker in League One. He's from Newcastle bred, isn't he, football-wise? Should he be that high on the list? No, of course he shouldn't. He's never done it at Championship level. Could he go higher in his career? Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're talking about potential. Don't really see how he can be higher than people like even Stephen Fletcher, Graben, Nike Wells, Carlin Grant, who we've mentioned. But I think good that he's flying the flag for League One on there. Is he going to be in League One next season? Probably not. Will Peterborough get another 5-6 million? I know they're asking for a hell of a lot more. They're not going to get it. So there you go. Jaggy says lots of agents working at 442. I think we all maybe agree with that. Number 13, one of my favourites. I would have had him in the top 3 last season, along with Grealish and Buendia, would be Pablo Hernandez. Bit of a drop off from his utter sort of brilliance for maybe the first half of last season. Definitely on calibre, should be around the top 10. Superb player on his day. Just a little sense from Pablo this year that he's been happy to let other people in that Leeds team carry a bit more of the weight as he coming up 34, 35 now? So brilliant player, awesome calibre, can still do it on his day. Is he the Leeds go-to guy now all of a sudden? No, probably less reliant on him now. Maybe that's because other people have stepped up. If we were doing this list last year, he should have been in the top 3 or definitely top 5. So possibly around the right area for Hernandez. Number 12 in the 442 list was Pontus Jansson, who parted ways. Was it amicably? Not so sure about that with Marcelo Bielsa and Leeds. On his day, really, really good Championship centre-half. And I think he probably could play Premier League. Leeds fans said in some of the big games he'd go missing, but look at the actual, what you're getting is a physical, passionate guy who is a decent footballer as well. You don't play for Bielsa at centre-half without being able to pass the ball at least, and then go on to Brentford, who are known for that. Probably one of our top centre-backs, and in fact the next player, we say they've probably got this right. So Janssen, yeah, I'm not too unhappy with him being there. And speaking of ball-playing centre-halves, not owned by Leeds, but number 11 in the 4-4-2 list is Ben White, who's a brilliant centre-back. And if Leeds can get promoted, he's going to cost them a small fortune, but I'm sure they'd all love to sign him. You could have a brilliant defensive partnership at Brighton if Brighton decide to not cash in of him and Adam Webster, who are absolutely brilliant ball-playing centre-halves. Both of them. Maybe I'm a bit biased being an Ipswich fan talking about Webster. But Ben White, all I can say about him is I went to Leeds' first game this season at Bristol City under Bielsa, and you worry how a centre-half's going to adapt. Smooth as you like, straight in there. So definitely White should be up there. I think he's probably number one centre-half in the league, I would say. Number 10, this is an interesting one. Is Bradley Dack, who really good player, really good player. I do sense from some Blackburn fans that they think he's a top-end championship player rather than could go higher, physical enough, pacey enough. Does really well for Blackburn. Strangely, when he had his bad injury, goes out of the team, and they did still keep winning. So not reliant on him. Maybe that says more for the job Tony Mowbray's done and the rest of the Blackburn team. But I'm not sure I'd have Dack in the top 10. Although if you did look at Dack's highlight reel, the goals and the assists, very smooth, silky player, isn't he? Definitely worthy of being upwards in this list, but maybe not in the top 10, Dack. But good player. Number 9, again, probably similar bracket. Romain Sawyers, good player for Brentford. They'd have him in the number 10 position, and he kind of worked his way back as the deep line playmaker, didn't he, after Ryan Woods went off to Stoke. He's gone to West Brom, and he has gone up a level at West Brom, hasn't he? The problem Sawyers has got is he's got that languid kind of lazy style that belies his talent, and some people will look at that and think, oh, he's not putting it in, but his numbers always say that his ball retention and progression has been good. Baggy's asked, has Livermore been said? Yes, he has. I can't remember what number because I'm scrolling down. Number 17, Livermore was on there. So Sawyers, I'd have him in there. Would I have him that high? Ooh, difficult one, because then I have to answer who would I have higher. So yeah, maybe around the right position. Number 8 is Tom Kearney for Fulham, who maybe I would have an edge higher, possibly. At the start of the season, Kearney looked fantastic. Baggies Forever says I'd have Livermore over Sawyers. There we go, and he's got a West Brom badge as his avatar, so probably knows more about West Brom than I do. Kearney at this level should be one of the 3 best midfielders in here, as I trip over my words. At the start of the season, he was looking like he was going to have an incredible season. They put Harry Arter back further, and he seemed to be scoring from 25 yards every single game. Big sense with Kearney that he can't do it at the top level, but then at this level, he's a bit of a piss take and he's too good. Maybe they've got him about right. Has he been as influential as I expected him to be? No, I expected him to really boss it. So, yeah, maybe they've got it right with Kearney at number 8. Not so sure. Number 7. Wayne Rooney. If we talk about calibre, this guy's outright number 1, isn't he? And let's be honest, he has been absolutely brilliant for Derby. Is he the Wayne Rooney of 5 years ago? No, of course he's not. But is he technically one of the best players in the Championship? Of course he is. You don't lose that. I suppose he had to be in the top 10, didn't he? So yeah, I'm not too averse to this. He had to be in there. Obviously, his powers are going to wane as the years go on. We've spoken about Hernandez, similar, brilliantly technical player. So, yeah, I'm okay with that. Number 6 is Ollie Watkins of Brentford. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because last season, would he be in the top 25 or 30? I don't know. He's moved across. 1234 says, lovely shirt, Ben. I say thank you. And I say, more nice comments. There we go. Watkins has moved in from the wide position into the middle. He's caught me out because I thought, is he going to be able to deliver the goals? Yeah, he's been absolutely brilliant. Loads of headed goals, loads of 6-yard box goals. I think for him to be in the, say, top 5, top 6, he needs to put another season of goal scoring in. But yeah, not far off where he should be. I don't think they're far out of this one. Number 5 is Eberichi Eze, who is a massively skillful player playing for QPR, and he is doing his second season. He dropped off a bit last season, didn't he? But either a number 10 or a kind of wide attacking player joining in. He's definitely not a sort of flying winger. Difficult with Eze because the London players always get the potential hyped up, don't they, when they're young? He's going to be brilliant, Eze. Is he in the top 5? He'd be close, wouldn't he? Yeah, he would be close. Be interesting to see what his output would be if he was in a different team than QPR, because QPR do seem a bit gung-ho and then not very balanced, but really good player, Eze. Would I have him better than Kearney or Sawyers? Difficult. He's not far off, put it that way. They got him in the right ballpark, in my opinion. Top 4 now, Matthias Pereira of West Bromwell. He should definitely be in there. I'm behind Pereira. If we're talking about number 10s, and I know they kind of died off a bit, the 4-2-3 one was all arranged 2 years ago, wasn't it? So we haven't got that many real mega number 10s. I think Pereira is probably the best, and they all get shunted along right, left, and I think they're all expected to play. I'm just getting some names in here that are not on this list. I've just seen Brighter say Samuel been mentioned. He's not on the list. Brian Mbuemo is not on the list as well. So it's difficult, isn't it? It's because it really, when you see those players are not on it, it's hard to justify players from Forest Green, no disrespect, and 2 players from Crewe. So there we go. We'll see where the voting's gone. But Pereira, yeah, he should definitely be in there. Really top-notch player. And I think they've done a really good deal, West Brom. Animation asks, Ejaria, no, not there either. So again, that proves the point, because Ejaria went pound for pound with Eze in a game between Reading and QPR. I'm not saying he's as good a player, but on his day, very good player, Ejaria. Number 3 is Saeed Benrahma, who 100% should be in the top 3 as an absolutely brilliant player. Jay Creek says, where the hell is Luke Chambers on that list? Hope some sarcasm. Outstanding comment. Evening to Noel as well. Ollie on tour says, what about Klitsch? There you go. Yeah, difficult one to pull up all those players, isn't it? By the way, this is the 4-4-2 list we're reacting to, not my list. So really is hard to justify when you think about people like Klitsch, not being on the list when he's played nearly 90 straight games by the end of this season if he doesn't get an injury. Benrahma is brilliant, should definitely be in the top 3. Probably got him in exactly the right spot, actually. Haven't they? Superb player. Will likely end up in the Premier League. But we trust Brentford to reinvest the money and not let it stab the heart out of their team. Hey, maybe he'll stay another season, but superb player, Benrahma. And at number 2 is Calvin Phillips, who's probably, easily the best English player in the league, isn't he? Since Bielsa's been at Leeds, he's been fantastic, hasn't he? Really matured. He's one of these players who, it's a really good marriage. Phillips is right for Bielsa, Bielsa is right for Phillips, and it just works in that cycle. Really good passer, really good user of the ball. I suppose the best thing about Phillips is his sort of positional discipline and how calm he looks in these games. But yeah, he's a superb player. Phillips could definitely play at a higher level. Leeds' biggest saleable asset, and one thing Bielsa got so right when you look at Leeds' books as well was getting Jack Clark out for that big fee to Tottenham to ring fence keeping Phillips. And I'd really love Phillips to get the chance with Bielsa in the Premier League with Leeds. And yeah, he should definitely be in the top 3, top 5 for sure, Phillips. Number 1, I actually agree wholeheartedly with, is Alexander Mitrovic. I think strikers are always going to come out. Colin says, was it picked before Christmas? Didn't hear Hector mentioned. Hey, 4-4-2 and fans voting, nothing to do with me, but yeah, Hector's been good for Fulham. Speaking of Fulham, number 1, Alexander Mitrovic, always going to be a striker. He's no age as well, he's still like 23, 24, isn't he? Mitrovic, he's come down and he's just been quality, hasn't he? I don't know where Fulham would be without him, hence my silly song set out on the channel. And we always have a laugh with the Leeds fans, say, how many points would you have if Leeds had Mitrovic on? Their animation says Cavalier on knockout on the list. No, apparently there's some Crewe and Forest Green and Plymouth players better than them, but there you go. So Mitrovic is number 1. I'm sure we can all kind of buy into that. Let's go over their top 10. Again, this is voted for by supporters, and apparently you weren't allowed to vote from players from your own team. I'm not quite sure how that would be enforced. So 10 was Dak for Blackburn, 9 was Sawyers, 8 Kearney, 7 Rooney, 6 Watkins, 5 Eze, 4 Pereira, 3 Benrahma, 2 Phillips, 1 Mitrovic. Look, it's a bit of fun. Yesin says Mitrovic is 25. Okay, that's still no age. You'd expect a striker to be peaking around 28 to sort of 30 age, and he's absolutely quality, isn't he, Mitrovic? I think they've got the top 3 probably right, haven't they? Benrahma, Phillips, and Mitrovic. I think Pereira should definitely be there. Rooney should definitely be there. Maybe I'd have Kearney an edge higher. Eze's a tricky one, isn't it? I think in the main, in the top 10, they've protected the really, really good Championship players. We've had a load of people say Mbuemo, Ejaria, Klitsch. There's been loads of them, hasn't there? Knockout and Cavaliero. There's no way that they're not in the top 50, especially with Knockout's calibre of last time he was here with Brighton. He was absolutely incredible. But I thought I would give my reaction. And look, to be honest, it's all opinion. It's probably a bit difficult to call this list the EFL top 50 because, as I keep saying, and let's use Klitsch as an example of a guy who's played every minute for the top team in the Championship in the table for the last 80 games. How that guy can not be on the list it's just silly, isn't it? And how he can not be higher than... and Loyal Royal has just said Swift as well. Yes, Swift has probably been Reading even better than Ejaria, hasn't he? So, yeah, it's a bit silly, isn't it? I think the lesser known players don't get the credit that maybe they deserve. I think maybe the whole list is probably flawed in that that you probably should just do top 50 Championship players and ring fence that. But it's a bit of fun, isn't it? I think the more popular players from, I think Crewe are at the top of one of the leagues. I think Doyle has scored tons of goals. As much as I love Nord for Ipswich, there's no way he's got any business being on the list. Sausage Dog says, was Ayling on the list? No, he wasn't. So, yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies in logic in the list, let's just say. But it proves a talking point and give us a little bit to chat about. But in the main, when it has come to those top players, yeah, they've got a lot of it right, haven't they? Let's do some questions. What would I do with Championship next season with promotions and relegations? I would try everything I could to get the season finished and honour it properly. Ayling should be top 20, says White Hart Dane. Baptiste is better than Henry and Brannigan, says Animation. Yeah, and Baptiste and Fosu both went off to Brentford. So the Brentford numbers nerds also agree with you, Animation, about that. Sausage Dog says he thinks Ayling is better than Cash. Be an interesting debate that. Not much in Ayling and Cash. Obviously, Cash has got a little edge on Ayling with the fact that he has been like a winger before. Be interesting to put Ayling into Forest and to put Cash into Leeds. They'd probably both be fine, wouldn't they? Top 10 Championship haircuts. Calvin number 2, Ben number 1. There we go. It's going to get bloody long in this lockdown, isn't it? Can I be the only person who ever gets confused if I'm sat at the back of that big stand at Leeds and they've got Roberts and Phillips both in a tracksuit top or whatever, and they've both got their little bobbles up the top there. Same haircut there, haven't they? Leeds, the king of the top knots, let's just say. I hope that's provided some fun content. And for once, nobody can say, oh, where's so-and-so to me in the comments. Because it's not my bloody list. There we go, which is what tends to happen. As always, get your ideas for more content in the comments. We try and do more live streams as we go. I'm going to bid everybody farewell. I have a bottle of wine waiting for me downstairs, and our delivery from the Portuguese should come. Noel says, As it's Easter, Ben, you are now the EFL Jesus. Would you believe, Noel? That's not the first time I've been called the Championship Jesus or the EFL Jesus. I've been trying to keep my beard a bit shorter to avoid all that stuff, but there we go. What you gonna do? Smiley faces all around. As always, thank you to the subscribers of this channel. First of all, for all the brilliant insight they bring in, and secondly, for not being bellends. Honestly, I did something with Jack on the Talk Norwich City channel, and we got one of these tin pot mind the gap nonsense, and I'm so pleased we don't get that crap over on my channel. Nothing against Jack and his brilliant output on that channel, but yeah, they've got twice as many subscribers as we have over here, so maybe a bit more riffraff over there. But it just made me think, isn't it great that we don't get that, I'm going to swear, don't get that bullshit on this channel here. So there we go. Why did Jesus play in goal? Crap on crosses, said Noel. There we go. More numbers, more a-holes, says Jaggy. There we go. What's that behind you? Behind me? I don't know what's that behind me. Some mugs. My little board with lots of tickets from probably every championship ground, and a fish tank. My wonderful late grandfather there, Mr. Eric Turner. Nice that he's in every video as we go. And my nephew as well, Max, up there. And every Ipswich kit you can see up there. Lots of stuff. Calm says, doesn't matter what you do, Ben, you'll always be crucified for it. Yeah. There you go. As a wise man once said to me, if nobody hates you, you ain't doing it right because you're not making anybody jealous. So there we go. But I'd happily just interact with our subscriber base on here. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. That was my reaction to 442's EFL Top 50. Get your comments in. Jackie says he's got a video on 6,000 at the moment and loads of hate, of course. There you go. The more, what was it? Was it Mace or was it Puff Daddy? The more money we come across, the more problems we see. Yeah. There you go. Quoted some 90s hip hop from this unlikely hairy white Englishman in Bedfordshire. There we go. And on that bombshell, yes, Noel says, enjoy your week, Ben and Mrs. Ben. Enjoy your week, everybody. Stay inside, keep 2 meters away, don't panic buy, wash your hands, and let's hope this thing peaks pretty soon. Thank you, over and out.